Welcome back to another hot take this week. Actually, the series finale in HR Unpacked. How's it been? It's been emotional for you. It's been emotional for me, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and I love it. It's shame it's over, but for sure we will do something else soon.
Yeah.
But I'm
Well, I
very
think
excited.
what we'll do is we will have a new series happening starting next week. The lives will continue, but we're going to do a series on a different aspect. So we're going to sit down and have a look at, well, what does that mean for us, and what's really the burning questions that HR are asking today. And I think a lot of it is around this question here, isn't it? Will AI replace me? And so we need to be building these future leading stuff. So I think what I'd love to do is actually push a lot more AI innovation, automation in the HR space instead of talking about the problems of HR. Now, let's go right into solutions. Do you know what I mean? How do you feel about that?
And I think so we lost Antonio with the deck as well, but I think so he will be joining us shortly as he is traveling today around central London. And hopefully we get him back here quickly. And as you mentioned, this is our wrap up for the series that we are running right now in AI in HR. Today's session will be especially focusing on AI bit in HR and how it's gonna change and what's the future, how it can coexist, what's working, what's not working, what are the different views on it as well, and where we are going and how this is gonna be, if applied correctly, how we can actually improve a lot of stuff, how we can make your life better, and what we can do as HR professionals to really embrace it, and how we can look for a brighter future as well. So hopefully we can get Antonio back soon with the slides so we can continue with the session. Right now, I think he is off, but it seems that we are still running. So I will fill up a bit of a time here. So we already covered quite few subjects here. We were looking for the whole HR cycle. First, we talk about recruitment, then we have onboarding, then we run day-to-day HR operations, as well as start looking in the compliance and how AI is actually affecting these different parts of HR functions and how it's actually transforming, and if done correctly, it can really help HR in many ways, in the ways that were not probably possible 10, 15 years ago. And I see it as a very
There
positive
we
change.
go. We're talking today about this, that AI won't replace HR. How many people do you speak to, Lucas, regarding, and they're concerned about their job at the moment when it comes to AI?
Quite a lot. It happens across, almost everybody, especially I will say in the office environment, mentions AI. I think it's a little bit coming down because I think a lot of people find out that AI is not necessarily going to be replacing humans anytime
Mm,
soon. I think it's here to little bit enhance, help people, and if it's applied correctly, it can really support you rather than replace you. So I think so we're coming into it, but every conversation I have, it's include AI in some ways. And yes, some
yeah.
people are worried, but yeah.
So, I mean, the argument that what I think we've been building towards, and it says directly here, right, over the past 5 weeks, is that HR will change. We know that it's going to change massively, but it's actually going to change what HR is actually for. That's what AI is going to do, and not the job of people. So, just a quick recap one last time on this series. And as I said, the next series we go into is going to be a bit more technical for HR, but not too much that it scares you off. This is episode 5 in our series, and we just want to thank everyone for spending the past Wednesdays with us. It's been emotional, as I said. I'm joined today with the founder and CEO and visionary of Kumo HR, Lukas Pukaj. Lukas, thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you.
If you want to just introduce yourself to the world.
So again, I'm Lucas, work in HR for now close to 20 years. Done everything you can imagine in HR, from starting in admin all the way to having the senior leadership roles in HR, from startups, scale-ups to big corporate, run global organizations, and really enjoyed the journey. And actually saw a lot of issues across working in different sectors, different companies, was the technical HR stack that was really lacking behind everything else. And hence we started Kumo.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the stuff we were just talking before the show was actually a lot of the stuff is less HR driven now within Kumo. More people are interested in the AI, and that's actually an interesting shift for us. Now we have the systems of record, the SaaS, but actually SaaS is changing its in its own right as much as HR is changing as well. So I'm Antonio Giugno. Very good to be on board. I am the Chief AI and Innovation Officer here at Kumo. I work with my team to define how artificial intelligence operates and shows up in our platform. Every week we're innovating. We are going through a massive phase of shifting to agentic first. So that whole scary thing of I don't know if you remember, Lucas, about a year and a half ago, we were discussing together, actually, we should have a agentic space there. Do you know what I mean? Instead of the SaaS, it should feel like the agent is doing the job. And I said, I don't think people are ready for it yet. If we do that right now, we're going to scare people off. But actually, I think we're at this point now where agentic needs to feel agentic, but not scary. It needs to feel like my nan can use it. And that's what we're working on. And you haven't even seen yet. So I'm really excited to show you that. Awesome. So the next 60 minutes, we're going to be covering the hot take, what it is, and and how it's defended. Okay. And that AI will not replace HR. That's the hot take here, guys. Okay. We're going to be looking at what AI actually changes and also what it doesn't within HR, because that's really important. We're going to look at the new identity of HR, the shifts in the role. You know, the identity of a human resources person is changing. There was a famous CEO we were discussing the other day, Lucas, who said he eliminated his HR team because they were causing problems. He said the moment we eliminated our HR team, all the problems left. But that is not true, because he still has people operations people, which is HR. It was just a good marketing spin, and probably drove their share price. Well, do you think it drove it up or down? Actually, how would that share price go in the
Usually
market?
when you fire people, the share price goes up.
Okay, well there we go. So yeah, we're going to look at that, the new identity, and then we can have a debate where we can actually genuinely disagree. And there's things that you and I agree on, Lucas. There's things that we disagree on, and that's what makes the world turn round. We're going to then go into a series recap, a Q&A, and then set the sail for what the next series starting next week is going to look like. And Albert is in the chat, Lucas is in the chat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask us. If you are online and you're watching right now live, share this away, please, because we would love more people to get to grips with what's happening in the world of AI, particularly when it comes to HR. It's really, really important. And there's a lot going on. And if you're not sharing it, then you're selfish, basically. You're keeping it to yourself. Awesome. So here's the hot take, Lucas. AI will not replace HR. It will replace what HR keeps pretending to be. Okay. Now, what do you think? And I know you've read the slides, but don't tell anyone what I mean by this. But is HR being the great pretender right now?
I don't think so. It's changing, and this is something exactly like what you mentioned, it is replacing it. And I think so a lot of time people saw HR as a bottlenecks. The other organization usually go up, we need to deal with HR. And like you mentioned, the CEO fired the whole HR team and all the problems disappear. It's one of those that people kind of see it is more of a issue rather than business function that adds value. But I think this is shifting drastically. And I think so used to do add value as well. I think, many times you got the bad rep, but now it's much more visible. And if you done it correctly and you have so much data you can share with board with anybody that prove that actually HR adds a lot of value.
Yeah, 100%. And actually more value there than just operations, there's nuances here that we're talking about. There's, and I'm not even just pigeonholing HR into this function, but HR are often the psychotherapists of an organization. You know, they are the go-to for when crises happen, or however you pronounce
And
that.
it used to be, if you kind of think about it, a lot of time used to be business came to HR and says, oh, we need to change. We need to let people go. We need to restructure. We need to do something because something wasn't going right. Business one analyzing was not there and was happening. Now, actually, done correctly with the right tools, HR is the one that can actually flag it way before anything happens. So you can act on the things much quicker. Say, wait, guys, I think we're going to have a problem a few months down the road. So you can actually jump ahead and fix problems before they come and they arise.
Very strategic, isn't it? You know that, and actually you see the problems way before managers, leaders, the CEO, the board sees them. And that's what we mean. It's replacing what HR keeps pretending to be. So I've got two arguments. Both are wrong. Okay. AI is coming for HR jobs, right? And this is mostly said, in my opinion, by people who think HR is just admin. And we all know it's not just admin. They have been wrong about HR forever. They don't see HR as a valuable piece of the puzzle to an organization, but they are right about the current HR jobs, that they're not safe, because the shape of the job is changing. Okay, and we'll get there. The position two here, AI changes nothing in HR. Well, you hear this often, Lucas. We had a conversation just not too long about a potential customer who was saying this. AI changes nothing in HR.
Yeah, no, I think exactly. I think the truth is somewhere in the between. It is. Yes, I think so. What you start looking into is applying different skills in HR. So it's the people who gonna be still gonna need people to manage HR, to run HR. It
Mm,
may call something else in the future. I think a lot of things keep changing, but in terms of how HR operates and actually can be soon, it's not only looking at assets as only human. I think soon you start gonna looking on the assets as non-human, either robots or it's gonna be agents, and maybe it's gonna be more of a department. It's gonna be overlooking the whole total workforce, and
work,
because those,
yeah, workforce, something like that. It's workforce
yeah,
operations.
but the
Actually,
full,
that's really that's a cool point you make there, Lucas.
yeah,
As you just sparked something there. Around the workforce management operations. I think we should add something like that into our future, our next series. Over the next 5 to 8 weeks, something around how the shape of HR is changing. Awesome, great. So I'm just flying. We're just going spitballing at the moment. Go on, Lucas. Continue on what you're saying though. Around, is it just
yeah,
humans we're going to manage? That's really
yeah.
interesting.
It's not gonna be, I think, only humans. I think you're gonna start looking into like a total workforce when you may have a robot, when you may have AI agents, and they can be either autonomous or they can be actually supporting employees. So imagine you have a workforce when you have employee that have multiple agents, and actually agents can provide feedback on performance and actually build the whole picture of total performance. So if you have, as an organization, wants to deliver on something, usually you count on performance reviews or one-on-ones with the manager. Imagine that in a near future we have a position where you have an agent that actually updates your objectives, your goals on a on day-to-day basis or as regular basis as it needs to be. So you don't need to even input it. It just thinks, or your agent that works with you or the tools that you're using are going to help you to be more, what will say, strategic in your work, but also add more value. But then also it's going to help you to add more performance in terms of you can do so much more. So it can be that what used to be as the output as a one person, you can do output of a 3, 4, 5 employees that used to be done. So, you start looking at things and people differently. And I think so that will be the future of it. So it's going to require different skills. For sure, it's going to change stuff. I think that's going to be, are people still going to be employed? 100%. Do we still need to have a live, real, working employees? 100%.
Yeah.
We're not going to be replacing them anytime soon. But is it going to be a mix of employees and technology? 100%.
Yeah, I mean, but we do need to point out the elephant in the room that jobs amongst young people are down. You know, so the unemployment is up, but roles for young people are down, and this is because AI is supporting where those juniors would have done that before. So they'd have done the first draft, for instance, before a junior would have. They'd go up to, you know, a mid-level or more senior employee, and that's what's changing. But those are in places where, to be honest, those jobs shouldn't really exist for humans anyway. You know, more valuable human work should be happening. And the value is extracted from artificial intelligence. Value is extracted by the individual. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
let me just give you a flavor here. If you take a look at ChatGPT, if anyone goes right now to ChatGPT and asks it how many R's, how many R's are in strawberry, it will tell you two. When if actually you count how many R's are in strawberry, there's three. So you can argue with it until the cows come home. It's still going to say there are two R's in strawberry when there are actually three R's. And that's the point. So now this is infinite intelligence, or not infinite intelligence, you know, it's as intelligent as the token context enables us to be. But, you know, I'm pretty sure a human looking at the word strawberry will see that there's three R's.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also looking like people go out, it's changing. But if you think about it, any invention, either it's a wheel, it's adding horses, it's a steam engine, it's any technology we apply, there will be always people that they lost the jobs. And, we were talking about this, that it comes that, yes, some jobs gonna be replaced, and some jobs will be replaced. And that's the nature, if it's gonna be either AI, it's gonna be technology, it's gonna be something else. Certain roles will disappear, yes, but there will be new roles created as well, so it is a cycle, it's one of those things that, when you get a new technology, you're gonna have people gonna be unhappy about it, especially the ones gonna be negatively affected. There's gonna be also a lot of people who's gonna profit from the new technology, new invention, whatever it's gonna be. And you need to just find a way to adapt, see where it's going, how it's going, and adapt it, implement it right. See how I can take it, implement it in my organization, in my life, in where I'm working. It's just gonna change everything.
Yeah, 100%. So those are the two arguments. AI is coming for the HR jobs. It's coming for, they took our jobs. It's coming for your jobs. Do you remember that South Park episode, by the way?
Yeah.
They took our jobs. AI is coming for the HR jobs. AI changes nothing in HR, but actually, you know what? These are two arguments. They're both wrong arguments, but they are somewhat, there is nuances here. So the question really isn't, will AI replace HR? It's what is HR actually for now? Now that the admin's gone, what is it for? All of those things in this episode is downstream from this one question, Lucas.
I think we have
You know,
Antonio that
just
froze
chuck out a
again.
few
So
things
we
that HR
have,
is actually for now that admin's gone.
it's the question, will AI replace HR? And it's really more looking about what is HR actually doing and what it is for in organization and what's going to happen when the admin is gone. And I think so. We already have a few episodes talking about administration or across the businesses and how AI is affecting it. And pretty much there's the low hanging fruit in many ways that AI can actually go after and can replace very quickly. But this really also changes how HR focuses its time, how HR is transforming in a way that, okay, we don't need to spend as much time on administration. Now we need to spend the time on adding value and how that value can be generated and added through HR work. So
Hey,
it is
I'm back.
7, how this is changing, and it's the skills and it's the transformation of HR with the AI.
Yeah, exactly. So because you know, a lot of the job of HR, and people will say that actually they don't like doing the admin, the stuff that AI can replace. They'll say that they don't like doing that anyway. So, but they will prevent themselves from utilizing AI because they almost feel like that if I use this, then the managers, the hiring man or the CEO is going to get rid of my job because they're going to say, well, we don't need you now. But actually, chart is for a number of things. Okay. 3 things before that, though, is AI changes about HR. Okay. So the admin layer. Now, Lucas, tell me, who in this world would you say enjoys scheduling meetings and scheduling interviews and scheduling one-to-ones and scheduling? Who enjoys that work?
I see Antonio having a hard time today with his connection. And we have actually a great question coming in our chat. It's about how do you find the time to set up these automations when you're already drowning in work. And this is something that, for example, in Kumo, we take the headache away from it. We are the ones that can actually manage it for you. We are the ones that can really easily implement it. That's 105, and it's growing. Currently it's 105 different AI tools that already built in the Kumo, our platform, which we are utilizing. So our clients get them right away, straight out of the box. Anything new comes up, we are happy to share. We're happy to show it to people. How does it work? How it's operate, and train them on it. But a lot of it is self-explanatory, and I think so. Usually, the feedback is people get amazed how quickly they can do things which usually used to take them with the hours or days. Now it takes minutes. It takes much, much less time than it used to be.
Who enjoys scheduling things? Who enjoys pulling reports and creating pivot tables?
Nobody.
Nobody. And that's work that takes up 60% of the week. I remember I used to dread the Fridays. A full day of my Friday would be creating a report for stakeholders in a consulting firm, Accenture, I worked for. And it was just the same thing over and over again. But, there was no way of being able to properly automate it or properly extract intelligence from it without having, my view on it. And we still need that 100%. We still need that. But like I said, decisions but on that note, making decisions, but I get evidence now behind decisions. AI will surface patterns that you wouldn't have seen before. You were mentioning earlier on, Lucas, about HR becoming, spotting issues in workforce or potential catastrophes that could occur. And AI enables that. Speak a little bit more to that, Lucas.
Yeah, and actually, we just kind of hit me, and this is something really fresh from last week. We had a big client in Asia that needed to process a lot of, this is industrial contracts. This is a lot of, it was like thousands of pages of contracts that we actually just dump into our platform and came up with the report that showed things that, somebody, when we show it to the client, they say it usually takes them 3 to 4 weeks to do the work of couple people going through, and they would not get other information. They would not be able to connect the dots, as well as the AI agent that is actually built in the platform done it in minutes.
Yeah.
The value was added, the things, the patterns, what it kind of actually dig out, compare. It was unbelievable. And is the evidence is that administration is gone, is the evidence that you can make decisions. It's not based on, well, you think so, maybe this is the problem. You know exactly what is the problem. You know exactly where the issues are. You exactly know, and it's a solid stuff. It is just unbelievable what it can do.
Yeah. And again, so we keep touching on this, we're not going to be processing individual cases now, doing that individual report on a Friday. Oh God, takes me 5 hours. Actually, it's designing systems that handle it. You mentioned there about, the client in Malaysia that they've taken 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to generate these workforce reports, this gap analysis, in all of their different. So they're a group of companies. Okay, the group, they have employ a number of people, 6, 8 people who will pull the data from across all the group of companies. We're talking, hundreds of thousand employees, and we built for them into Kumo the ability to do a one-click and it analyzes hundreds of thousands of records of data, whether they're photos, documents, well, photos or documents pretty much. But the issue was the photos ones. And now don't forget, all of these documents are in different formats. All the images are in different resolution. So that problem
Different
is
language.
different language, all different languages. We were able to pull together and utilizing AI and, us and our engineers working really hard to make it happen, but utilizing an agent. And now that agent just sits there waiting to do that work all the time. It's just begging, it's just dormant, waiting to be given thousands and thousands of pages of images and documents. So, like you said, it changes things from, patterns, decisions into designing systems that handle the work. So less doing, more thinking. Actually, how can we utilize AI to do this for us, but that gives us that superpower to go to the board and say, hey, we've got this information here. Now, when we roll this out, Lucas, to this Malaysian group of companies, the main stakeholder, how good are they going to look?
It's amazing. This is something that I think it blow our mind. I think what is done to them is just on different level.
Yeah.
It is something that I don't think so they even expected is possible.
Yeah. Actually, I hope that Arash is on this live. He should be sharing it across. Give him a message, see if he wants to come on as well.
Yeah. Maybe we can actually get him maybe next week. You can have a session with him as well, live session.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we'll do that. Cool. So 3 things AI doesn't change at all, guys, is why people stay or leave. Lucas, what do you think I mean by that? Why people stay or leave?
It's about, it's about the culture. It's about the environment. It's not about AI. Yes, can automate, can do a lot of stuff, but it's many times if, it's the management is weak. People see that the issues. You hate work culture, you just go to the office and it just doesn't work with you. It's no amount of AI. It's going to change that. It is just, again, comes down on the humans to
Exactly.
to manage, to create, to make
now,
it better.
the other point as well is, what manager owes their team? A manager has the ability to shape or destroy people's perceptions of a certain industry or career. I mean, we can all think back to a specific manager that we've had that you go, that was the best manager I've ever had, Now, can AI replace that feeling of that was the best manager I've had? Now, AI doesn't manage me. I manage AI, So that's what AI cannot do. And then also the cost of getting culture wrong. We spoke about this a couple of times on the podcast, Lucas, that we do together with a couple of guests. That how I put it, how culture is becoming inauthentic. It's like, let's just create a culture of beanbags and all that sort of stuff. But that being said, I do think that culture isn't beanbags and fresh food, is it? It's
100%.
it's not that. It's actually the sentiment and values of an organization, not the ones you say, the ones you really embody and the ones that the people you employ really embody. So, the cost of getting a culture wrong, AI cannot change that at all. And is that HR's responsibility?
In many ways, it kind of comes on HR to drive it, but I think so. It's really it's a combination of management, of people, it is one of those, what you permit, it's going to grow. So if you allow a bad culture or bad things, bad habits to be implemented in a business, they're just going to spread like wildfire. It is usually it is the HR that usually deals with this, but then you also need to have a strong management. You need to have people. And even, for example, in our case, we created in Kumo a space for the culture and the values. We also created a very social platform as well. So it's more of a engagement drive as well, because it is very important. I think a lot of organizations don't put a lot of effort into the kind of thing. Well, people coming here, like you said, we would give them bean bags and we throw a coffee in a nice coffee machine in a kitchen. That's it.
Mm,
No, not, it is kind of, yeah, it's nice to have people sometimes talk about these nice things, but it's really about, oh, actually, you know what? I connected with my team in Hong Kong. Actually, they were doing this today. Oh, the people in the US were up to this. They share some pictures. We have some. It's the environment that you see that people share, that they kind of connect, and it makes it more connections you have, you're more engaged in terms of, oh, I want to be working here. I enjoy working here. And it's also is like, well, if I'm going to leave, I'm leaving so many great people behind. I'm going to let
mm.
so many down. So it's like also kind of creates the stickiness when
Yeah,
done right.
exactly. It precisely there. So the question for me becomes, if the admin is gone, Lucas, what is HR actually freed up to do?
Complain. And I'm just kidding. It is, it's become
Yeah.
so much more strategic. It's become, like I said, it can drive the culture, the engagement, can actually add value, can have so much more insight, showing where the problems are arising potentially, can see, where the bottlenecks are, can actually spot so many things that can make organization more functional, more engaged, people more engaged. It can do so much more. I think it's just about people not being afraid, because I think sometimes, especially you have certain skills to be doing ops
Mm,
admin, or just doing, okay, I'm creating other contracts and following this and that. And it's different to actually go out, be inquisitive and asking questions, and go to the manager and say, well, how can I help you? What's the biggest issues you have in your department, and how can we help you to solve it? It's that kind of actually not start looking into HR, it's start looking into outside. Get out of the HR department, go to other departments, see how they operate, what they need, how we can support them, how we can help them, because there's so much value you have as a HR professionals that you can share and add so much more to the whole organization.
yeah, totally. So there's 4 shifts which I see happening and what HR becomes, right? One is from processor to designer. The others from compliance officer to coach, which is interesting. From reporter to strategist, and that's something you're big up on, Lucas, or from owner of policy to owner of culture. Thank you. Yes. And the which one do you think is the most significant one here?
I think it's combination. I think it's you need to do a little bit of everything. I don't think so. Like if you just fix one, it fixes
Mm,
everything. Like I think you need to catch up on all of them. I think so. They are super important for a healthy organization, well-functioning organization, to really start tackling. So in some cases, let's say you have a stronger culture, you can, you don't need to do as much work on the culture. Some places needs a little bit more on design, on the coaching. I mean, at that where you start adding the value, it's actually start looking where you are, where your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities are, and actually attacking them the right way. So have that strategic thinking, have that foresight, and actually
mm.
combination of all 4.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also, if you take this, so we all these items here: processor, compliance, reporter, owner of policy. Those are all of the things that people don't like to do. Designing things, people love to be creative. Coaching, HR love to coach people. HR love to be responsible for designing even a performance management system which increases performance across teams. Strategically planning, not just reporting, but actually strategically thinking about what the data's done and what the data's telling you. And then owning that culture. We know a lot of HR people do that today, but actually policy and culture are different. But we spoke about that before. So let's just touch on processor to designer. Now, I think this is the thing that a lot of organizations get wrong today, because they are looking at, if we take a look at all of the companies in 2025 who attributed AI to their bottom line, as in EBITDA, yeah, they attributed AI to contributing to their EBIT. That what they did differently to the ones, 92%, by the way, of companies actually said that AI has not given them any return on investment, but 97% still plan on increasing their investment, which is interesting. But what the ones who said AI contributes to our EBIT, they designed new roles. Okay, so they didn't say how do we shoehorn into someone's role right now what they are AI and what they're doing right now. How does AI help them? What they're doing right now? They went, okay, now AI exists. What should this person be doing? What should their job description look like? And that was the difference. They built around AI rather than building AI into them or around them. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that does make
And
sense.
Antonio, this is exact, and I think so. You hit it. And I think so. Maybe we should do a session just on this subject: is the design, because I think that there's still a lot of misunderstanding. A lot of people hear AI, 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 and some what it actually is, what the
Mm,
LLM is, where is the strength, where the weakness is. I think people go, "Oh, I get AI to calculate something." Go like, "Well, we can do it without AI." It's a very simple solution.
yeah, an automation.
The workflows and things, and where AI it's strong, what it does for you, what it doesn't for you. So I
Exactly.
think so. It is still a lot of misunderstanding, and but maybe because we are in the forefront of AI, we work every single day with the AI. I mean, we drive, and we do a lot of coaching and sessions for a lot of big organizations, banks globally. That we probably work with the people who are more switched on in terms of AI understanding, but then still, I think there's a massive hole of people don't know what AI actually means, how it can be implemented, and
Yeah.
how you design the right AI processes and procedures.
Yeah. A lot of organizations are still saying AI is an LLM, and that's, of course, an LLM is a large language model is the fuel for artificial intelligence, but actually goes so much further than that. So we can definitely do a piece on that. But yeah, so process work before AI looked at, filling in the onboarding forms one hire at a time, chasing managers for performance reviews, reformatting reports, triaging even tickets internally, internal HR tickets, uh, but doing the work that a system can do, 10, 20, 100 times better. Uh, But now after, and this is what HR's role, HR person's role to do is today, is design that onboarding flow, okay, that an AI can take over, define the review framework, build the calibration logic. It moves from actually doing the task to designing what makes the task happen every time without fail. And that is the power of now today, a person who's a subject matter expert. Now, if you're a HR individual and you're not a subject matter expert, you go to work, you just do your 9 to 5, and you can't think, from a system perspective, then you may be at risk. But it just takes a shift in perception. That's it. So it's not hard to get there. But if you're worried about, well, I've never thought like that before. I've just done the job. Now you need to start thinking about, well, what does my job look like, and what makes me good at my job, and how do we get AI to do that? Then that's the designer in you. That's the designer in you coming out. Anything you want to add on that, Lucas?
No, I think so. You explained it beautifully.
So from compliance officer to coach, I'd love you to take this one, Lucas, because I know in your experience, your years and years, decades of experience in HR, you've been revered as someone who's acted as a coach for a lot of people. I'd love to just so you'd be best to discuss this
Yeah,
one.
yeah, 100%. So I think we see it quite a lot when you have it's we have actually was last week or was 2 weeks ago we done sessions on compliance and how important it is to have it, and how much time is being spent, and how people don't sometimes think about it unless you have audit happening. Then you start really bringing out the evidence that you are being compliant, but it takes quite a lot in terms of administration. But when the administration is handled in the sense that everything is done through AI and you don't need to worry about it, it's about, okay, how you enhance people. It's about the coaching mentality. It's about helping managers
Mm,
with becoming a better managers, having like how to have conversations with the staff, how to motivate staff, how to deal with stuff. So it gives you the opportunity to get out of the box and actually add a lot of value that helps the organization to shape the future of organization. I think it is something that it is so much more valuable when you don't have to think about the basics, the stuff
Yeah.
you can out of it. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. And then the next one is reporter to strategists and policy to culture. And I wanted to put these on the same slide because these are two shifts that a lot of what a HR person is going to be seen as, the perception of a HR individual from becoming that strategist to actually impacting the business and not just reporting to the CEO and saying, here's the report, what do you want to do about it? But actually commenting on it from a subject matter expert point of view. And then also, moving from policy, because you don't need to create policies anymore. Your role now is actually how do we put them into our culture? Defining what the company stands for, diagnosing where the real pains of this company and where are we pretending that their real pains are, innovation and all that sort of stuff. But here's where we genuinely disagree. Okay, Lucas. AI will make HR strategically faster than HR is ready. Do you think they're ready for this?
I think that's a lot of, you need to kind of split it. There's going to be a lot of resentment into it. And there's a lot of cultural things that people don't like to change quite quickly. So I see a big portion of professionals will be like, nah, we don't want to implement it. We don't want to work with it. It's too complicated. Like you said, it can be too fast. They don't really see the value of it. They worry about things that, with the jobs or where it's going to go. So yes, you're going to have some of it. So I have to agree on this bit with you that's part of it. But then it's also a fraction of HR that happy to implement anything. They will go with the flow. They will try. They will test. They will go. It is the latest newest. That's a lot of. You will have conferences and things that people go to, like HR Tech Week and things like that. People are curious about what is the latest technology, what we can have, what we can implement, and this is something that we are. I mean, at Kumo, I think we are ahead of the curve in many ways. The things we can do, I don't think so. Are many people not? I will say it's possible. They don't even know it's possible. They don't even think about it. I think a lot of our, I'll say, nicely competitors are still stuck in thinking from last century and just kind of, well, how we can make it a little bit more automated, how we make it a little bit better. But for us, it's like, how you think in a new world, how you function in a new world, how you become more efficient in a new world. And we do unlock things that haven't been touched on or even thought about. So I think it's very amazing to be part of it and actually building it.
Yeah, 100%. It's a very, if you look at here, what we're building over at Kumo, we're building it for what's actually coming into the future of HR and more on agentic HR, so how does a HR team adopt agents that aren't just, a bit of a lackluster letdown, but actually doing stuff at scale for you and preempting what's going to happen in the organization for you so you can do the good stuff, the good human stuff. Lucas, it's been great. We've done hiring, we've done onboarding, we've done compliance. Now, what I want people to take away is AI won't replace HR. It's going to replace the parts. HR pretended were the work, forms, screening, scheduling. The new HR is a designer. They're a coach. They're strategist. They're culture owner. The job got harder for you though. Okay. Because as I said, the bar being value, and I know that I say this a lot, and I mean this with the utmost respect to people. If you are not a subject matter expert, you should be worried. If you spent your years just coasting, now the time is where the company is going to be able to eliminate the coasting, because AI is making the good ones better, but also, the value comes from this. So the next 5 years are for HR practitioners who are able to build new skills. And the ones who don't, unfortunately, you know, I mean, you do the math. But like I said, companies who get this right are going to compound. The value the value in adopting AI far outweighs the risk of not doing it. You know, Lucas, on to you, buddy.
Yeah, like I said, we do disagree on things sometimes, but I think so. This is something we agree on. It's adoption adds so much more value than not adoption. I mean, yes, are we gonna have 100% right? Some of the AI things may be proven that they were not as cool as it should be.
Mm.
And, I think some people adopt things just for the sake of it. But I think so you make a less of a problem if you adopt it rather than just say, well, no, we're not going to take it. We're going to wait for 5 years before we see how everybody else is using it and stuff. You're going to be in a position you're never going to be able to catch up.
Exactly.
And it's also about, I think you need to start thinking more about already, because, I think we talked about it in the past. It's if you have a mess right now and you put AI on it or LLMs or whatever, you're just going to multiply the mess. You're just going to multiply the problems. So I think so you start, even no matter what, start thinking about cleaning, organizing, taking stuff in a way that you're becoming AI ready. To what extent you want to adopt it, it's up to you. But, really preparing it, it's going to help you. Even if you don't adopt it as quickly, at least you're going to have that stepping stones and it's going to help no matter what. You're never going to be losing on it. You're always going to be winning on it. But then having tools that, for example, somebody using a Kumo and somebody doesn't use a Kumo, you are in such an advantage with having insight, with having tools, with saving time, with saving so much, with having information done, organized, perform so quickly that your competitors, gonna take weeks, gonna take months to organize, to find out where the problem is, where you can actually do it in a days, weeks, hours, minutes. When we do some of these, we're talking about these reports, there's no competition, the future is difference between being the winner, being the loser. So, and I think so there's still organizations that don't believe it, but those are going to be the most shocked ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas, amazing. I've got to go and get the kids now, so I'm going to shoot, but really great to chat. We'll be back online next week, guys, with a new series that we'll be start promoting tomorrow. Lots of food for thought. Lucas will go away and we will come back with a new series starting promoting tomorrow. If you are watching online and you've liked this, like it, share it. If you are watching on YouTube after the fact, then please subscribe, like, share, comment. All the best, and we'll see you next week in the new series. Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.